Welcome to Women Feeding Africa podcast, a powerful space where we celebrate the women driving change across Africa. Each episode brings you inspiring stories and discussions on women empowerment, food and agriculture, entrepreneurship, leadership, and gender equity. All areas where women are not just participating, but leading the way, transforming lives and feeding the future of Africa.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Women Feeding Africa podcast, where we bring in amazing women who are doing incredible things within the food and agricultural space. Today I have with me three beautiful and amazing women that are doing mighty works. Allow me to use that phrase in the food space. My name is Ejiogu Mambula, work as a communications officer at African Food Change Makers, and I'm excited to be your host for today's podcast episode that is powered by African Food Change Makers under the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship Program and supported generously by our funders, the Skoll Foundation. Hi, ladies. It's amazing to have you on set today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. So we'll start with a round of introduction. We'd love to introduce yourself. I know what you're doing already. They're mighty ladies, trust me. Introduce yourself, what you're doing in the food space. And actually, I'm actually now particularly interested in your aha moment. What is driving the passion to what you're doing? So I'll start with Ajoke.
Hi everyone. My name is Ajoke Amusat. I am the founder of the Grocery Lady Agrommerce Services, and we are an aggregating company that works with smallholder farmers. We empower them to reduce post-harvest food loss and to create access to locally grown produce. So you said the aha moment.
Yes.
Well, I came to Jos Plateau State in 2018, and when I came to Jos then, I did not know that, there were certain fruits that grew in Nigeria. And my aha moment was when I was in traffic and I saw some women hawking strawberries. And if you know strawberries during that period, you could only get strawberries in like selected stores that, import into the country, right? And these stores, the price of those strawberries are usually very, very expensive. So expensive that you can barely even afford them. And I was in traffic in Jos Plateau State, and these women were selling these strawberries for 500 naira for a pack. I was shocked. Because I lived in Lagos all my life, and I did not know that strawberries grew in Nigeria. So I took my phone, I took a picture, and I posted that picture online, and that picture went viral on Twitter. And I did not even realize what I had started at that point, because I had over 7,000 retweets. I had over 300 DMs. I had so many people messaging me just for those strawberries. And that was when I realized that, okay, I need to start something. I need to move these things. Because at that moment, in 2018, strawberries were wasting away. And that's why they were very cheap. Nobody was buying them. Nobody even knew that they were growing in Plateau State. So I used my platform to create awareness, to let people know that, these things grow here. And so I moved this produce from, the locations where there was surplus, and then I moved them to where there is, demand and scarcity. And that's how my company, The Grocery Lady, started. So basically for 7 years now, we've been supplying direct consumers, and also businesses, restaurants, processing companies, and basically just rescuing fruits from the places where there is waste and surplus and moving them to where there is demand. So that's what we do at the Grocery Lady.
That is interesting. I actually didn't know there was strawberries were growing in Nigeria.
There's so many things.
To travel to Jos.
There's rambutans, there's raspberry, there's blueberry, there's blackcurrant, there's passion fruits, there's apples, there are, what else? There's so many things growing in Plateau State that people don't even know. And so that's where we come in. We, create awareness, let people know that, okay, these things grow in the northern part of Nigeria, not only in Plateau State, because over the years, we've branched out from Plateau State to other states. And I think our recent one is Uyo, Calabar, where we found out that there's rambutans, star fruits, and other fruits, and they are literally on the roadside, nobody's buying them. So we have to aggregate them and Move them to Lagos, move them to Abuja, move them to places where, the people will actually make something out of it. And, that's what we do. We just add value to products, we reduce post-harvest loss, and we empower smallholder farmers. So, yeah,
That's
thank you.
the beautiful bit of it, empowering smallholder farmers.
Hi everyone, my name is Igweike and I'm the founder of Loom Chocolate. We are cocoa bean processors and chocolate makers, and we transform Nigerian cocoa into a variety of chocolate and cocoa products. My aha moment, I think it was sometime in 2016, I was combining my 9 to 5 with baking, and then I just realized that we have a lot of cocoa beans in Nigeria. True. But nobody making chocolate at all. And I decided to do some research to make chocolate for my home baking business. And I just realized that, when you take a bar of, should I say Cadbury, for instance, or any other one of these imported brands, you take a look at the back, you see the list of ingredients, you can get overwhelmed and intimidated. Mm-hmm. But my research showed that you could make chocolate with just cocoa beans and sugar. That was all that was needed. And I guess that was it for me. That was the start of the business. I tried it out. It worked perfectly. And, the rest is history.
Interesting. I'm a chocolate lover, by the way. You can use chocolates to kidnap me or do anything. But then, so people don't kidnap you, please. But I love chocolate. Mitya.
Hi, I'm Ugonna Ejiogu, the face behind the brand Mitya's Food Diary. I'm a food tourist, content creator, and hospitality consultant. I would say that what I do is I go to different places, travel to different parts of Nigeria and sometimes Africa in a whole to showcase what we have, to tell our story through food. My aha moment was in 2020. I was lying down. I remember that day. There was no light. I was lying down in my room and I was just seeing the news. It was ghastly stories. It was a lot of stories that put Nigeria in a very bad light. And even the local news was just talking about, like kidnapping, talking about terror, just everything at that point was just showcasing Nigeria in a bad light. And I am very passionate about food. I love food. So I'm like, okay, there's beauty in different things in Nigeria. Like, why isn't it always highlighted on mainstream media? Why is it always one drama? If it's not theft, it's terrorism. It was just something negative. And then I had always played with the idea of, being in front of the camera with food since, like I said, I'm very passionate about food. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to tell the story of Nigeria through food. I'm going to try to show people that Nigeria is beautiful. I'm going to try to show people that we have a very lovely heritage. We have culture that should be displayed to the whole world. Our food deserves to be highlighted on the international map. And I was like, Nigeria is more than just jollof rice. It's more than egusi soup. It's more than the trend of fufu. We have a whole lot of Nigerian dishes. We have diverse culture here. And I decided to what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to showcase everything we have in Nigeria. And I'm going to show beauty through food. And that was my aha moment. And then since then, I have been doing just that. I've been traveling to different places in Nigeria. I've been telling the stories, and then I realized that doing what I did, it was having a very, very, very good economic impact because it was helping local vendors get recognitions. Mm-hmm. I even had to start this series I do where it's called Their Stories. Is picking up vendors that are struggling and telling their stories and showcasing them and trying to get patronage from them. It's really helping their businesses. So I'm like, it's a win-win. It's pushing tourism, it's helping the economy, it's going to help, it's helping a lot of local vendors get recognition, people appreciating their craft and actually keeping their business afloat. So yeah, that was it. That's what I do in a nutshell.
Wow. Interesting.
That's amazing.
So I think I'll direct this question to Uzoamaka. So if I get there was no chocolate in Nigeria. So if I would say changing narrative, African narrative, what would it mean to you personally? Like changing narrative is like one of our taglines actually. So what do you think, or how can you explain changing narrative, African narrative? What would you say?
I would say it's, first of all, Africa. Once you, like Madam Mudede would always say, once you mention the continent Africa and you have to accompany that word with a picture, it's always something that is negative: starvation, people suffering, people sick. Changing narrative is basically just telling the truth, right? Showing us for who we truly are and showing all our sides. I mean, projecting a 100% positive picture of Africa would also be untrue, but presenting the whole picture is what I feel like changing the narrative means. Moving it away from just that single story of poverty, of crisis, to showing both the beautiful sides as well.
So you did think, how has colonial influence, how has it influenced how we ourselves as Africans perceive our food, and I think in that way it has also influenced how the external world also sees our food.
Yep, I agree. And I was thinking about this same thing very recently, how we have so moved away from things that are grown naturally, and we are tending a bit towards things that are imported. I'll give an example using wheat. Wheat is not one of the grains that is, locally or indigenously grown in Nigeria. But all of a sudden, you see that we are tending towards foods that are heavy on wheat.
Yeah.
You have the breads.
Yes.
Bread is now a staple food, whereas before you would have something like akara and things that use beans, acha, maize, millet, and things like that. But now we have noodles, we have cakes, we have bread. Bread is now our breakfast food. Yeah. So we've moved away. So I feel like it's not just about the stories, it's also about the economy, let me put it that way. There's also a financial aspect to it, where you're no longer looking at developing or doing research on things that normally grow in Nigeria or in Africa. You are now dependent on an external crop
that you need to import into the country. And that's what I believe that's what is even affecting, why the, food is very expensive right now. Exactly. Because the local ones were not buying them. Yes. And then why heavily, yes. So I really, yes.
And they're also the price of importation.
Exactly.
True.
That's a lot.
So Ajoke, if there's one misconception about Africa that as it relates to food, our food and food culture, what's that one thing that if they gave you like the magic wand, you just you want to just change it?
I think it's just the narrative that, Africa needs help, or, that we need people to come and save us or rescue us or help us. That's not it, because we are self-sufficient. We have everything that we need. We have good climate, good weather. We have good food, amazing food, all over Africa. And I believe if you want the winter, kind of weather with snow, you go to Lesotho. If you want summer, come to Nigeria. And, Africa is very rich. And I believe if I have the wand, what I would do is just, I would change the mindset. I would make every African, citizen look inward, look at how blessed we are. And even our leaders, let them see how we don't need to go out of the country. We don't need to go out of the continent to actually experience the things we want to experience. We have everything. We have the gold. We have gemstones. We have food. We are rich in so many foods. So even food that you think you would get when you go to Asia, we have them right here in Africa. It may not be from Nigeria, but if you go to Kenya, you'd find it. We have everything you need. Just travel within Africa and you'd find it. Right? You don't have to travel out of Africa to find what you're looking for. Everything is here. The weather is amazing. If you want an island, there's Mauritius, there's Lamu Island, there's everything you want, So yes, that's what I would change.
Interesting. I feel like that colonization is not just physical, it's also mental.
Yes, the mindset.
Right? It's also a mindset thing. If you take a look at how the media, the global media, has sort of, there's a way our foods are sort of demonized.
And positioned.
Yes.
They're demonized, they're positioned as unhealthy. Sometimes I feel like there's even a deliberate effort to misdirect. I'll give you an example with palm oil. Palm oil is one of the, for me, it's like the best oil in the world, really. Like, if I stay 1 week without having palm oil, I feel something. I have to have soup or beans, something that has palm oil inside.
Even the food made with palm oil tastes better. Like, now you can't make beans porridge with groundnut oil. It's not going to look nice.
There's something about that palm oil. But if you talk about palm oil, they take it to mean the refined palm kernel oil, right?
No.
That, is now, talked about as unhealthy, right? And we have, we have the mentality that anything the Western media pushes down on us has to be the correct thing. Maybe because they've done a lot of research, and things like that. We tend to just accept whatever they tell us without doing our own research, without like thinking critically about it and challenging it. So that's just an example of how, they've pushed an idea, they've pushed a narrative, and we have that mindset, we have that mentality that whatever they say, that's what it is. And then we tend to ignore the things. You see, a lot of people now talking about avocado oil, olive oil.
Speaking of
Meanwhile,
that,
we have atili.
we have olive oil. we have our own olive oil, but it's seen as not refined. So when you present atili oil right now, which is our own olive oil made from, like locally grown olives, they'll tell you that, you haven't refined it. And that's because the olive oil that, is popular out there that's gone through so many processes. Like they've sieved it and sieved it. It's very light. It's almost translucent.
And I think that even the fact that we call it olive oil, we could be indirectly competing with.
Yes, so just call it what it is.
Call it what it
Atili
is.
oil.
Atili
And
oil.
another thing about this olive oil, I was listening to a research that said that like 75% of the olive oil that people actually get are not pure.
Pure,
Yes,
exactly.
It's not pure, but would rather go for that than actually go for what you're talking about.
And the question we used to sell atili oil, and I think we had to stop because we realized that there was a lot of education that needed to be done, and I feel like it's just consumer education. That's one thing I want to talk about, right? Consumer education. We really need to educate the consumer. And the first question we get is it cold pressed? They don't have machines.
If you were to make it in your kitchen, that's the same way you would make it.
So is it cold press? We're like, no, it's not cold press. Oh, I want cold press, and we're like, we don't have cold press.
The thing is that if some people even throwing the word cold press around, they don't
know what it means.
It's just like, I want cold press. Let's be cold press now. I'm seeing the check comments. So that's like, is it cold press? Me too. I want cold press too.
And just like Uzo said, we need to change our mindset. One of the things we struggled with when I started the grocery lady that I didn't even think was going to be a problem was that people were so used to buying their vegetables cleaned that they did not even know what real vegetables look like. And I'll give you an example, iceberg lettuce. So the way iceberg lettuce grows, it has like an inner layer and an outer layer. But the one you get in stores is just the inner layer. So when we started selling iceberg lettuce, we would get customers will reach out to us like, oh, I didn't get iceberg lettuce with my order. I only got this lettuce that I don't even understand. And we'll be like, oh, that's iceberg lettuce. And they'll be like, no, that's not iceberg lettuce that I buy from the supermarket. And that's because the one in the supermarket has already been cleaned, so the outer layer has been removed. And people are so used to buying perfect looking, clean produce that when we started selling the produce the way it grows exactly from the farm, no chemical preservatives, no pesticides, right? Meaning that you're going to get the spots. You probably see some ants on it. I'm sorry, but we do not spray our food. You're getting so you're getting food the way it grows. Nothing, no extract, no removal, right? And that was what we struggled with. We struggled with educating people that, sand on your produce is not a bad thing. People did not know that, produce has sand, like beetroots, right?
It comes from the ground.
It comes from the ground. And we will get complaints like, it's very sandy. Okay. Well, sorry about that.
But I think you're actually doing a great job because you talk about consumer education.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways that you change people's mindsets by talking to them about these things. And I think what you do on grocery
but it can also be misinterpreted as being defensive. Like, you are trying to be defensive. You don't want to own up to the fact that you are selling produce that are not clean. Why can't you just wash them?
Okay, what I actually mean is like it's not necessarily only
To
when
the customer,
you're responding to the customer, just
but
generally.
okay,
Yes.
yes.
So when you just put up a post, you're not
let
responding to
people know.
anything.
Let
Okay.
people know that
Yes.
this is what
Okay, for example, stop washing oranges and carrots with soap, detergent. That's something like that
I'm
people
sorry, people do that.
That's
They do
what
that.
we
You see it. They wash it with foams
you
and
get
everything.
and then you wash it with soap like it's clothes. You know, you shouldn't do that.
Toxic.
Like all you need is just water. People say, "Oh, vinegar." This you just need water and brush. Your pineapple, get a brush.
What
Good
about for a fruit like strawberry? Because I've heard the vinegar thing a whole lot.
Okay, so when it comes to strawberries, you can just leave it in water and just soak it, right? And I think just know where your strawberry is coming from. If it's naturally grown, organically grown, you don't really need to do all the vinegar thing. I think where vinegar comes in is for the imported ones, because those ones definitely have preservatives in them, right? So you need to soak them to get okay, so I recently put up a post talking about the fact that if you buy imported apples, you need to scrape the skin off.
Wax.
And most people did not even know that. That imported apples have wax, which is why it doesn't spoil. You can have apples for 1 year, it's not going to spoil.
I didn't know that.
I'm just guessing.
I
just rinsed it and
You
eat.
just bite into it, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed
The
to
apples
take
that
it
you've been buying from those malams, do you think they put them in the fridge overnight?
No.
So why is it not spoiling?
I haven't actually
have
asked that question.
But do you know how long that? Do you know where the apple has come from? Do you know how long it has traveled?
Oh my goodness.
Exactly. Do you get what I mean? So when you get your apples, so these are things that we need to educate people on. I believe that our curriculum from primary school, it needs to change. There should be consumer education subjects. Like people need to understand that, one of the things that a lot of people say, one of the phrases that people say is that, that's how we've always done it. Did you know that if you leave banana on the tree, it's going to ripen? You don't have to cut it while it's still green and then cover it with sack. You can just leave it on the tree. And it's going to ripen. And most people don't know this. So when you tell people, they say, that's how we've always done it. That's how we've always done it, right? And we've tried our best to educate consumers and even the market women, because one of the things that we noticed when we started the Grocery Lady also was that a lot of people are in danger when it comes to food. So a lot of mangoes that you buy outside in the market, open market, have been ripened with carbide. And most people do not even know this, right? And I think you know calcium carbide.
Yeah, I think I can spot an unnaturally ripe. There's an off color to it. Sometimes I don't even.
Same with bananas. Yes.
No, bananas, I don't know. I don't think I can.
And I also feel like during the off season of mango, like once the season of mango is ending, like right now, a lot of the mangoes you see are just.
No, they're off-season mangoes. So I think that's also caused by climate change. They're off-season mangoes. So because of climate change, not all the mangoes are ripening at the same time. Some of them, while others are ripening, they're taking their sweet time. They're probably still sleeping. So when everything has finished, that's when they start, so they're off-season mangoes. But so the one that, you have to be careful of is just, I don't even know how to spot carbide ripened mangoes.
The color just looks unnatural.
I can't tell.
The color, I can't tell.
I can't.
And this season, I didn't even touch any mango because I didn't see anyone that looked good.
Oh my God. I ate so much mango.
And why do you think so? Why do you think people are, using carbide? I want to hear your own opinion. Why do you think people do that?
It's the same thing that happens in the cocoa sector, which is they are trying to get to market faster. Right, they want to get, because poverty is a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Especially with smallholder farmers, and especially where you have a crop or produce that has a very short harvest season. And if you're practicing monoculture, where it's just one kind of produce. And it has a very short harvest season,
you want to make your money.
You want to make your money quickly, and because that's the only time you're going to make money, right? So I feel like they're trying to get to their cash quickly. And the same thing happens with cocoa. And that's why a lot of the cocoa that comes out of Nigeria is termed bulk cocoa, right? Whereas most from the other countries, South America, they're called fine cocoa. So it has a finer flavor, has fruity undertones, but from Nigeria has just very straight, bitter astringent. Again, that negative condition.
Yes.
But in this case, it's a bit correct, because when our experience with the farms is that there's a process that you must go through to get good quality cocoa. And great tasting chocolate always starts from good quality cocoa. That process takes about 2 weeks. So you do a proper fermentation, then you dry it properly before you make chocolate with it. So all that time allows certain chemicals to do their work, certain chemicals to be driven off, bad tasting ones. It helps reduce acidity, astringency in the cocoa itself. So when you make chocolate, it tastes great. So we find out that the farmers actually just rush through that process, right? And that's why to sell off quickly to get their money. So sometimes you don't blame them, and that's why for us the approach we took with Loom Craft Chocolate is to engage with them directly, show them this is how it should be done, this is how we want you to do it, but in return we will pay you something higher.
So you pay higher
than farm gate price because we get quality cocoa, and it's like a mutually beneficial relationship where they're getting paid better, and we are assured of.
But doesn't that affect the price of your products because you're not competing with imported chocolate?
No, but even at that, right, the chocolate that we produce is still priced lower
because of import costs.
There's lots of you can't
cost and tariffs and tax and a whole lot.
And clearance fees.
And what you just said, no offense, but a lot of reason why I do not buy African chocolates is because it's bitter. It's not as good as a Cadbury, chocolate, or the Lindt chocolates. It's bitter.
I think you should try it. So Cadbury and Lindt, they are oversweetened. When you look at
exactly mindset. So I'm so used to trying those ones that are really, really sweet. I just think that's how chocolate is meant to taste like.
Exactly. When we do tastings at the factory, right, we actually start with giving you a cocoa nib. Just eat the raw cocoa nib, right? Cocoa is bitter.
Yes, very bitter.
It's bitter. And when you have it tasting that sweet, you know that it's been overly sweetened. And that's why when you flip the back of the supermarket brand,
Cadbury chocolate is sweet.
The first ingredient is always
even
sugar.
The dark chocolate is too
I
sweet.
think the first ingredient is always sugar. So sometimes when customers say, I don't want the bitter one, I say cocoa is bitter, there's a bitterness that belongs there. There's a bitterness that is so unpleasant, it's crazy. Why do people eat bitter cola and cola nuts? They are different. Bitterness is a complex flavor. I don't know how to complex taste. Right?
It's not just bitter.
It's not just bitter.
But I had your product and it was nice. I think the marshmallow.
Okay, that one is actually, that's not a chocolate bar. That's just like a chocolate snack.
Okay.
Just like cereal, biscuits coated in milk chocolate. Okay. So of course that one is lovable.
Okay. So
Aaron, I was telling her that I tried like an array of Nigerian chocolates. So I had no idea that we produced chocolates in Nigeria, first of all, until I found one supermarket and I was like, oh, there are different ones, so let me just try all of them. So here's the thing you're saying. When I bit into it, the first thing I had to shut off the mindset of Cadbury, Mars, Snickers. I had to turn it off because when I had to try it for like something different. Like it was so different from tasting the regular chocolates that I grew up with, because this one's like the first thing that hits your mouth is the sugar even before the flavor of the chocolate. Exactly. The sugar hits you first. So it was like it was a struggle for me though. Like
so you have to turn off that mindset.
You have to turn off the mindset of what you're used to, and that's basically what I use with trying any food. You just have to switch it off.
Open your mind. And it goes back to what you said about education. Very important. And it's not just educating the mind. It's also influencing what we taste. Yeah. Right? What we eat and how we taste it, and our perception.
We see ourselves. Very, very important.
Yes, and the perception of that thing, right? So, one of the ways that we plan to achieve that, right? If you're going to get people to consume cocoa in mass, because one of the strategies to actually drive up cocoa production and drive up revenue generation from cocoa, one of the best ways is to actually produce and sell locally, because we have
we need population. When you're teaching agriculture,
we love chocolate.
We have
that culture of
and speaking of locally, does that also mean not just in Nigeria but other African countries?
What?
Other African countries, like producing locally and selling to other African countries.
Okay, we sell to
only Nigerians.
No.
Like only Nigeria.
I'm talking about cocoa in general. Okay, cocoa in general. Not necessarily chocolate.
Okay, chocolate.
Cocoa in general. We export over 90% of all our cocoa beans.
Okay.
But one of the ways to make it a more sustainable product is to actually produce, sell, because that way you always have the market. You're not subject to the fluctuations of trade, right?
Yes, I understand
but
that
one
now.
of the, if to develop that local market, you need to introduce it to the younger generation. So you need to appreciate what cocoa is,
see
appreciate
the value,
the tastes, right? Be used to the taste, such that when they are having a meal, that meal is not complete without a cup of cocoa. Just the same way in the West, a meal is not complete with dessert, right? It's just that same.
Have their dessert or depends.
So they cannot go a day without a cocoa drink. And if that happens, it means that you already have the markets, right?
Yeah.
You can actually process in country and sell it in country. So that education is extremely important. And not just education, but actually feeding the people.
So I think it's our job right now to do that. We all need to collectively do it.
Talking about jobs, she's doing an amazing work on it. And I actually wanted to ask, like, how have you been using storytelling to change a lot of perception? Like, I know when she traveled for the last closeouts for LAWFF, she was trying everything. I'm like, God, please. So how have you been using storytelling to actually change people's perception? Because I follow you back to back. They're like a lot of some African food. I'm like, I don't know, eat this. Then so how have you used that? Because I know that you've reviewed like 1,001 cuisines and eateries here in the country. How has storytelling helped you in reshaping people's mindset, and how has people's responses been to those approaches?
So of course, because we have some of, I would say that because of the colonization, there's a way we are supposed to carry ourselves and our food that we don't quite do that, but some people do. So for me, I would say storytelling, it hasn't only changed the narrative about the food, it's also how we eat. Let me give you an example. You come to my page, you see me eating with my hand, you're a foreigner, you see me eating with my hand, and you drop a comment and you say something like, why are you using your hands to eat? Don't you have cutlery? Forgetting that when you're eating pizza, when you're eating a burger, you use your hand. But because of how westernized opinions have been, how westernized the world has been in general, you find you are irritated when you see somebody using their hands to have their traditional dish. Like, I would not use my hand, I would not use cutlery to have my traditional dish. I will have it the way it's supposed to be had. You would not use cutlery to eat a burger, but you have a problem with me. So it is not about cutlery. It is about the mindset, about how Africans are, how we live. You look at me eating with my hands and you think I have a lack. You think I do not have cutleries. But if I'm eating a burger, you would not think I don't have cutleries at home. So like those little things, just those little bits of details matter. It's not, aside from talking about looking at the food itself, the thought, the mindset around our food, the mindset around our cuisine has to change. And then within Africa also, a lot of places in Nigeria, like, we overlook certain dishes from other tribes. There are some tribes, I would say, more than others, are very. Do you know how many tribes? We have over 200 and something tribes in Nigeria. We have over 500 languages. But how many of those cuisines are mainstream? Aside, if you take away all the mainstream dishes, how many other dishes can you mention from other tribes? So what that does is, when I put all those other foods in front of the camera, it tells other people that these people exist, this cuisine exists. Nigeria is, like I said, more than just jollof rice, egusi soup, and okra soup, and the fufu trend. It is more than that.
And the amala.
It is, and more than amala and ewedu. You have dishes that
just touch my soul now.
I visited when I had a food tour in Uromi in Edo State. There's this it's made with black plum. It's like a syrup. It's very sweet. It's very delicious. It's going out of existence. It's called amoriri. It's black plum syrup. You can use it in the way you eat honey.
So why is it going out of existence?
Because the culture, many people are not staying back to farm. A lot of those, people are moving to the city. Those cultural dishes that we love, they're going.
And there's
out.
nobody to move it from. No grocery lady there to
God.
move it from place of high demand to where there's deficit.
It's something like it. I had to carry some with me to take home to give to my parents.
So you
can't buy it anywhere else in Nigeria. That amoriri must be in Uromi, in where.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So are you saying that the only way to stop this from going extinct is for people to start using it? So like now,
more attention about more
amala became so popular that every restaurant right now, they must have amala on their menu. There are even restaurants that just opened just to sell amala. That's their name, right? And what this has done, because I'm from Oyo State, and everybody knows that Oyo State, Ibadan, is where Amala.
Yeah, actually, I can't agree with that because I'm not going to finally publicly admitting it, but like one of the best, I would say my top 3 Amala is from Ibadan.
And what that has done for Ibadan is farmers are enjoying. The people that farm.
People are literally traveling to Ibadan just to eat Amala.
I told myself I won't eat my first Amala until I get to Ibadan.
What's that place in Ibadan? The popular Amala
Sky.
Sky.
That's the rite of passage.
And the Amala Sky Amala, I'm gonna just tell you right now, it's not a very fancy place. You're gonna walk with your plate in your hands and you walk up to the. Nobody's going.
I mean, seriously,
I
don't want anybody to ruin it.
That was the experience. My first experience of Amala in Ibadan.
And what that has done for Ibadan, it has provided jobs for people, because people are now in agriculture. The ewedu, the elubo that goes into making amala, the beans for gbegiri, all those things.
The staff you hire.
So because you're feeding your population,
there's so much demand.
There's demand. You're planting
People
more.
are taking amala right now on boat cruises abroad. You're having your birthday party on the boat cruise. There's an amala vendor. I just even saw it on TikTok. There's an amala vendor on the boat cruise. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Someone exported elubo out of Nigeria, out of Ibadan. So what I'm saying is that for this ingredient that you said is going extinct, what they need to do is they need to market it in such a way, and it's part of your job to not only just sell it to people online, but you need to sell it to the restaurants. If one restaurant has on their menu, right, another restaurant will want to do the same thing. And that's how I believe Amala has gone mainstream, right? It's not just from one person, it's multiple people, multiple places, right? And a lot of people believe that somebody's coming to save us, but you need to save yourself.
No one is coming to save us.
No one is coming to save you. You need to save yourself.
Nobody. Like, that's one thing I have realized growing up. Like, like you watch TV and you just always, it gives you this mindset of, like, we don't have. We have.
We do.
We have
But
more.
you
we
need
have
to
so
do
much.
the job. You need to put it out there.
We have
Exactly.
so much. We have so much that a lot of people even want.
We do.
We have
We do.
a lot.
We do.
So, like, I have realized to treat our produce like gold.
It is.
I've realized that a lot of things, like when I'm telling the stories, I see sometimes some people, like, it comes from a perspective of, I don't want to say this, but yeah, self-hate, because you don't know any better. It's what you've always known. So definitely, like, anything else you see is wrong.
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing someone and I'm having this thing and it's Nigerian and they're like, oh, please, why am I doing this? You can just, I'm like, no, even down to restaurants. I've had a conversation with restaurant owners. I stopped them from importing certain things that you can outsource from local farmers. Because behind the scene, I work with restaurants behind the scene in terms of staffing, in terms of like menu engineering and all of that. So I tell them, like, okay, they're complaining to me like, okay, this is what is going on. Like, they can't always have this on their menu because importation this. And I'm like, why? These are things you can outsource from local farmers. They're like, oh, but will it be as good? I'm like, why do you think it will be as good? Why? At several restaurants around the country, I have spoken to their owners. Your menu, this is what you have in your menu. Instead of somebody coming and saying, okay, we don't have this. Aside from the fact that you are going to cut the importation fees, you are also empowering local farmers. You're also outsourcing,
creating jobs, yeah. And I believe it's all our collective efforts.
Yeah,
we all have,
And with that mindset, it starts from here. It's not just about, it starts from here. You have to be able to value what you have.
I think you're doing really, really important work. Like, what you said about putting people out there just because you have talked about their food. It's like a lot of the tribes, a lot of the cultures that we have in Nigeria is, it's just sitting behind the scene. Yes. People are not seen. People are not seen. And, I think the work you're doing actually goes beyond food. It's getting people to be seen, right? And acknowledged. And I think I'm telling you, so it's such a powerful thing. I love it. Well done.
It's food tourism, like connecting us back to culture and everything. But then talking about how we experience our food is empowering more people. How do you think we can better empower these farmers? I think I'll throw this. You two work more with farmers. How can we empower them more so that they can be empowered economically, like contribute better also through empowerment, they get to contribute more?
Well, one of the things that we do, because we we've actually been delivering trainings. That's the only way we get good cocoa. Train the farmer, make sure he follows the protocol, you get good cocoa beans. So what we now do is for greater impact, you need to get it to more people, to more farmers. And you can't do that without actually investing in the training, investing in the time, calling facilitators in. So an example, we did a training in Ondo State, and we actually delivered the training. After the training, we realized something, that if you don't back it up with the resources that they need to implement,
the training
you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. So what we've done now is two things. We've actually sourced for money to actually build those structures. So you need fermentation boxes, you need a drying platform to actually do your fermentation and drying properly. So we've invested in actual structures to help them. And these are farmer owned, right? Even though they are donated by Loom Craft Chocolate, they are owned by the community. So the community leader has given us, a plot of land to build.
Trust.
They are owned by the community. The structures are owned by the community. And then to use those structures, you pay a token. That token will be used to pay salaries of the people that will maintain the place. So it's their own thing, right? So you're assured of the security, and you're assured of the output of the produce that it's going to generate.
Yes.
And then the second thing also is to partner with development organizations. So that way we are actually getting things like inputs, further training, organic fertilizers to the farmers. So it doesn't just stop at training. You actually have to make that investment in hardware for it to actually take root.
So you want to say something?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we do on our own part is we believe in fair trade, right? And that means paying farmers what they deserve, paying farmers the right price. Don't say, oh, I'm going to pay you so little that you won't have any money to do. Because if you want quality food, you need to pay quality money, right? And I always tell customers that, your prices are high. Why is your produce so expensive? And we need to let them know that, these farmers are using a lot, not to use pesticides, right? They could easily go through the easy route, which is just spray the food with sniper, but instead, they are taking their time. One of the things that one of our strawberry grower, in order to avoid using pesticides on the strawberries, do you know what he does? He uses onions, garlic. He plants them in between the plants, right? And that's something he has to spend money on, because it's a very big farm. It's about 1.5 hectares, and it's really large. And that's planting onions, spring onions, in between all those plants, just to deter pests and rats and all those other things, right? So you have to plant like pungent produce, like garlic, like peppers, spring onions, those kind of things. So he plants them around the strawberries just so he can avoid.
But the good thing in that case is that, sorry to interrupt, is that he can actually sell those things, right?
He can sell them later on, but it's also time consuming, because he didn't have to.
He doesn't have to do it.
He could have
taken the easier route.
Just spray. And people don't understand that when you are buying naturally grown or organic produce, it's not going to be cheaper, right? Because a lot of our farmers, they put in a lot of work and time. One of the vegetables that a lot of people do not know that is sprayed a lot is lettuce, kale, cabbages. Oh God, pests love cabbages. So when you buy cabbages, go for the ones that have the O's on them. That's the safest one, because if pests do not eat it, you shouldn't too. And that's just simple. If you do not see spots, if you do not see pests eating a certain produce, don't eat it, right? Because pests will definitely visit. I feel like people don't even remember that produce are grown outdoors, not in a room. It's grown outdoors. So if the insects are not biting it, the caterpillars are not eating the leaves. So one of the things that we do is we make sure that our farmers are paid fairly, right? And they are treated fairly with respect. We allow them to take their time. We do not rush them. We allow them to leave the oranges on the tree so that the oranges are yellow, not green. A lot of the oranges you buy out there, the reason they are not sweet or they are too tart is because they are prematurely harvested. And when you eat premature food, then what's the point? There's no nutrients in it, right? What's the point of buying oranges or lemons that are premature? So harvesting living produce or lemons to ripen properly takes time. And that's money, just like Uzo said, that they would have made, but you made them to leave it long on the tree. So they need to charge for, its worth and its value. And so that's what we advocate for.
Okay, there's currently this to Mitya, there's like a whole lot of wave now on exporting and Africa exporting out, exporting and exporting. How do you think alongside exporting our raw produce, our processed food, we can also export our culture, our food, our values into let's say the Western world, yeah.
Okay. So I think it also depends on the style of the person who is exporting it, because you can see, okay, there's like these Nigerians that are in diaspora. I don't know how you've seen how they package their food and how they sometimes they even tell the stories on the package of the food. They talk about it, they talk about our culture, they talk about the reason behind why they're selling what they're selling. If it's jollof, if it's just, like all these little bits of things, they basically, in their own, sometimes you can even see it written in Yoruba or in Igbo. Do you understand? Yes. So it depends on how you want to tell the story. That one is an individual thing, packaging and selling your stories, and how you want your story to be told. It reflects on the produce you're sending. And then also when it comes to I would say our restaurants in the diaspora, no matter where you are, giving that authentic, still doing your best to keep that authentic, the authentic taste, the authentic flavor of our land. It's very, very important in telling our stories the way it's supposed to be told. Because I don't want to go to a restaurant, even if I'm abroad, and I ask for jollof rice and I'm tasting ingredients that I am not, I cannot really say that, okay, this is jollof rice I'm eating, or this is like Nigerian fried rice, or this is like our porridges, the way it is. You can just, you basically, you can tell the story, be authentic in the way you're telling the story by yourself. Personalize it. Okay, personalize it down to your roots.
I think that also pushing the nutritional value of the produce actually helps as well, because a lot of food that becomes very popular in the world is on the basis of the nutritional value.
Yes, it's very healthy for you. It's good for you.
Sometimes, but I can argue with that a little bit, because some of the foods that really get very popular now, now for this generation, I'm not talking about our generation, it's things like burgers and pizzas. It's not nutritional values. It's now becoming in every corner of the place.
I also believe that, so like now there's a Spanish dish called paella.
Paella, the rice
and everything. It's basically, I won't say jollof rice, but like the way it's plated. I also believe there's a way we need to, how will I say it? Plate our food. Put it out there. Like now, the way suya is made is very beautiful, right? Like if you want to sell suya, don't just sell the suya, in a wrap or something. Let there be a suya man roasting it, So this paella I'm talking about, when they make it, you don't see them just putting it in a plate. It's displayed. It's, how the dish is.
I understand what you're talking about, how it's displayed and how you package it.
And then when you want to buy it, they take it directly from the pot, right? And they serve it to you. And you feel like, oh my God, this is so nice, this is so fresh. Exactly. So I believe when we want to sell our food out there, let's just not say, oh, package it like that. No, let's display it the way it's made, roast your corn. Roast your corn. Put it, let there be a corn woman roasting it, giving you the way it is hot. Jollof rice on the pot, amala. I love how we display amala.
I get what
I love how we display amala. We don't wrap amala in nylon anymore.
So there's a performance around the service.
Performance.
For me also, like what she said about the nutrients to me is top tier. The reason why I also brought out the burgers and the pizza, I'm saying like you don't even have to you don't even need the nutrients to sell it, but like we have the nutrients.
Yeah, so that's
what I'm saying. Like, it's a strategy. That's a very good strategy. That's what I was saying. Like these are some of the foods that are very viral and popular in the world. Nobody's even looking at the nutrients. It's just like it's delicious. It's nice. No, I'm not. Before anybody says I'm attacking your darling pizza and burger, but I'm not being emotional. I'm bringing out facts. She's right about it, talking about the freshness of our dishes, like telling the story.
But
storytelling
also
is very
adding the
important.
interest when you are telling the
Yes,
story. Our food is
very
healthy,
interesting.
honestly.
Our food is very healthy,
is.
and it's usually natural. Down from
The
the
ingredients
source,
always
the ingredients
natural
is
and
always
fresh.
natural, down from the source and everything. Yeah, you know.
Look at the process of making jollof rice. You use the tomatoes, the thyme. Come on.
And when you talk about how the ingredients are locally sourced,
It's a whole process.
it's
Making
a
our
whole
food is a
process.
whole
It's
process.
going to really, like, putting us out there, like I said, it's heavy on the storytelling, how you tell your story, how you package your story.
But coming back to that, I also believe that Nigerians need to go easy on people that are trying to recreate our food. Right, Italian. We don't see the Italians. We don't see the Italians coming for us for breaking.
They do come for us.
They do come
Italians,
for us.
yes, they come for us.
Well, we need to take it very easy because we see why people trying to, expatriate, trying to recreate Nigerian jollof, and they are replacing peppers with bell peppers. They are, and then we are like, that's not how we do it.
I am one of them. Please, that is not how we do it. I am one of them.
So when you say that is not how we do it, can you also add this is how we do it?
Yes, I am very heavy on it. That's not how we do it.
This is how we do it.
You do it like this is better. But I also
But praise them, appreciate them for even trying. I'm not gonna lie, making Nigerian food is not easy. I feel like the most difficult food to make is Niger Delta food. The process, right? You have to the bitter leaf. You have to wash it fresh. From
Like my children are so demotivated whenever I tell them
because it's a whole process. So when you see someone trying to do that, imagine an expert trying to replicate and make ofo onugu, and then
but that's where the beauty
complex
is.
dishes also.
I think that's where the
like,
beauty
it goes both
is.
ways.
And it's also an opportunity to create a bond with your family. We were discussing earlier. We talked about how
communal,
we are big on community.
Yes.
That's the way
Cooking,
we build community. Cooking is an opportunity for you to actually spend
interact and
and
mingle.
with your children,
Spend
with your
time.
family. We talk about how
Spend
fast-paced our lives is. Let's all gather around
Prepping, the
again.
prepping process, everything.
You tell stories, you hand down legacies and tradition because we spend time in the kitchen. So it's very important that
It is.
I see you. I see you.
Okay,
Everyone
let's
has
behind
been
that. Sorry.
Okay, so I think this will be like my last closing question.
Okay.
What excites you about the future of Africa, our food in Africa? Like we kind of started the conversation already, so I'll just run it through like this. What excites you about the future of African food? And if you were given like let me say a chance card or something that you have an unlimited ability to be able to do something, what's that one narrative you want to shift? That's like my closer question.
Okay, like shifts about.
Yeah, so it's a 2-in-1 question. What excites you about where we're heading to now with African food? And what's that one narrative that if you have the ability to, without any restraint, barriers, you want to shift?
Okay. First of all, I would definitely like to highlight to the whole world that our food is rich. And it might not be aesthetically what they want when they see our food. I'm emphasizing on this because I'm talking from a perspective of somebody who had been attacked time after time by foreigners. And I've sat in rooms where people do not understand our dishes, and therefore they're like, it cannot, it's not appetizing enough to import it. I would like to change that narrative, and I would like to have a narrative where the world is much more open-minded, and I see us heading there because I see what the top chefs are already doing out of the country, and I can see how they're packaging our food, and I feel like in 10 years from now, the culinary scene is going to have the name of Nigeria loud. Like in 10 years from now, it's going to have the name of Nigeria loud, and I'm not just talking in terms of jollof or egusi or pounded yam. I'm talking about traditional cuisines that are also going to be mentioned because of what top chefs are doing. But yeah, and aside from that, I would really like to change the narrative of our food is poor. Our food is very rich. Very, very rich in terms of health. Look at fisherman's soup. Do you see what goes into it? Have you seen what goes into it? Have you seen how rich it is?
True.
So it might not be because we come from like very different culinary backgrounds. I'm talking about globally. So it might not be what is going to catch their eyes immediately, and because of that, therefore it's for them it's poor. And I would like the narrative of the world to say that Africa in general, I'm not just saying Nigeria, I'm saying Africa in general has rich cuisine and has rich culture.
Interesting. You can go ahead.
So, for me, what I'm most excited about is the fact that we are only just starting, right? And there's still a lot more. So I'm excited to learn more. You talked about us having 250 different tribes and a host of dishes we haven't even heard about. So I'm excited at, the potential, the opportunities to explore more Nigerian food and see what we have out there. And then if I had a magic wand and were to change anything, you actually took the words right out of my mouth. An open mind, right? You need to first of all have an open mind so that you can explore something. One way why I say that, one of the reasons why I say that is generally when you talk about cocoa, in my own experience, when you talk about cocoa, you talk about cocoa from South America, cocoa from Madagascar, and so on and so forth, as having fine flavor. They talk about side notes like strawberry, red fruit, citrus, raspberry. We have our own cocoa, and our own cocoa has its own notes. It comes with notes of African walnuts.
It doesn't have to taste like...
It doesn't have to taste like strawberries, right? It doesn't have to taste like raspberries. And if you know, or if you've tasted red palm oil, if you've tasted black African walnuts, if you've tasted...
That's what our cocoa tastes like.
That's what our cocoa tastes like. And, it has
its
own space.
And
it has no space in the global map.
And that's okay.
So an open mind is what I would wish for.
To change. Ajoke.
What excites me, honestly, is tourism, right? The collaboration that I'm seeing. Oh God, I feel enormous joy when I see content about, I'm going to Nigeria and I'm traveling to this place. And these people come all the way from wherever, and they come to Nigeria to try our food. So I believe that the future of Africa, agrotourism is the future of food. It's where farmers collaborate with chefs. It's where people from the diaspora come down to, their country, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and they try their food and they add their twist to it. And they collaborate with the locals. What this is doing is not only putting African food out there, but it's also creating opportunities and job for people. Because right now with agrotourism, we're seeing that there are tour guides, taking people to all these places like, my job, you can confidently say that my job is that when people come into Nigeria, I take them everywhere in Ibadan, the best places to try amala, the best places to try jollof rice. And that's just so beautiful. And I think it also excites me that, there are people that are giving African women opportunities, right? And ever since I joined LAWFF, I was able to interact with other people like South Africans, and I realized that there are so many similarities in our food, right? They have braai, we have suya, right? And I'm like, oh my God, that's...
So we have pap and we have akamu.
We have, exactly! And I think that pap is even like semo.
So I thought it was corn grits.
It's not like semo. I think pap is pap like akamu, but it's like swallow. Pap is...
I think they take it
I think in Rwanda they also have something like swallow. When
it just
like
excites
swallow,
me
Ugonna,
so
like
much. So thanks to LAWFF, one of the fellows from Zimbabwe came all the way to Jos, not Lagos, to Jos Plateau State for a project, right? And she reached out to me and she's like, Ajoke, Dazi from Zimbabwe, we're both in the same LAWFF group. I'm in Jos. And I'm like, I'm going to take you around. I'm so excited. And, she got to try suya. And she's like, this is very nice. So she tried both suya, the one on the stick, and then balangu. And she enjoyed the balangu. And that really excites me, seeing someone else from another country trying my food. And honestly, I would like to go to Zimbabwe also and also try our own food. And that's what excites me. The tourism, angle of it.
That it also fosters. Very, very important because... compare, there's always
brings
this
us
war.
together, and I love that.
South Africa, Nigeria, but when you see the similarities, when you have an opportunity to explore similarities,
they have a meat culture called braai, and we have a suya culture. Yeah. We love meat in
the same people.
They call it nyamachoma, right? And so I'm seeing, content creators from Kenya, Nigeria collaborating, making dishes, and that honestly, that really excites me, and that's the future of food.
Thank you so much. It has been an amazing amazing. Like, I want us to keep going on and on and on.
We can go on and on.
we would have to put a stop to it. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
I can feel your passions, like, and amazing work you're doing, by the way, with all your different ventures, and we look forward to seeing you doing more, expanding and growing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to our viewers who have stayed with us till the end. Please like, subscribe, and share. So you also join us in this culture of trying to shape narrative and educating somebody who I know we're particular about. Okay, let's educate people, make them more aware about the value that our African food has. So thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
We had
much.
a good time.
Thank you. So till next time, I'll just keep it simply. Keep changing the African food narrative. Bye, everyone.
Bye.